Today we're just outside Folkestone on the southeast coast of Britain, and we're here to talk about one of the most important battles in British history in World War II. But we're not talking about a battle that was fought on the ground here. We're talking about a battle that was fought in the skies above us. Today we're at the Battle of Britain Memorial. So over the next few videos, we're going to be taking a look at the Battle of Britain. A battle that raged from the 10th of July 1940 to the 31st of October the same year. A battle that ultimately saved Britain. Now there's different opinions on that, but it is very possible that had Britain not been successful, had the RAF not defeated the Luftwaffe in the Battle of Britain, that the next stage would have been the Nazis invading the British Isles. That would have drastically changed the course of history during World War II. For a start, Britain wouldn't have been under Allied command. It wouldn't have been available to launch the D-Day landings from 4 years later. So it's a battle that has huge importance during World War II. So as soon as you walk into the entrance here at the Battle of Britain Memorial, you start to see things related to the Battle of Britain before you get to the memorial itself, and I really like that. Even as far as, in fact, the gates on the front entrance here are from Biggin Hill, which is a famous site within Battle of Britain history. On the wall just here behind us, we've got a quote, a famous quote that I'm sure a lot of you guys will recognise, but let's take a look. So here along the wall where you come in, we have the famous Winston Churchill quote: "Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few." Famous Winston Churchill quote about the Battle of Britain. So on the other side of the entrance pathway, we've got this very impressive brick structure, which almost looks like it could be the memorial itself, but it isn't. This is a piece of brickwork that was actually put together by apprentice bricklayers in the local South Kent College, but it's a really impressive piece that they've done. So here you can see the 1940 in the front of the brickwork, and up to the famous red, white, blue and yellow outer logo, and the little plaque that says the Battle of Britain Memorial, sponsored by Hanson Brick, designed by staff, constructed by brickwork students of South Kent College. It's a really cool thing that they've got here before you even get into the actual memorial itself. Right, from here we are headed in to the building over this direction. After the war, a man by the name of Wing Commander Geoffrey Page realised there was no memorial to commemorate his fellow comrades, aircrew who had fought in that important battle, and so he campaigned for a memorial to be built. And in 1993, that's exactly what happened. The Battle of Britain Memorial here behind me was unveiled here just outside Folkestone. So here in the centre of the memorial area here is the actual Battle of Britain Memorial, and you can see it's a really beautiful piece. It's made from kind of like a sandstone, and my understanding is that all of the bottom here originally was as well, but then this got recladded due to the weathering, because as you'll see in a minute, we are just right beside the sea here. So the actual memorial itself has quite an interesting story in terms of how it came about. So sculptor Harry Gray actually created this sculpture, and it was kind of being thought about kind of what the sculpture should be, what it should look like, and during the course of the planning work, the story is that his apprentice sat in this kind of position looking out, and this inspired him to be exactly what the memorial needed to be. And so what we've got today is this member of the air crew, and the reason I'm describing it like that is because we don't know what rank he was or what squadron he was in or anything like that really. It is deliberately created in a very nondescript way, and as you can see, he is sat looking out across the English Channel. So here across the sea, of course, is France, where a lot of the fighting was in World War II, and more importantly with this memorial, the skies above the English Channel and above the south coast here is where so much of this fighting took place. It was around the bottom of the memorial. They have all the different fighter squadrons that were involved in the battle. You can see a huge amount of them around, including the Polish squadrons as well. So not just British, because of course there were lots of different nationalities involved in the Battle of Britain. Now, the memorial was unveiled in 1993 by the Queen Mother, and there's quite an interesting story. Now, apparently it's not entirely confirmed if it's true or not, but either way it's a really good story. Is that on the way over here, the Queen Mother apparently was involved in a journey with some pretty bad weather. The storm was coming in and the rain was heavy, and one of her advisors said, Mum, should we consider turning back? This is some pretty bad weather. And apparently her response to that was, my boys wouldn't have turned home, so we're not going to either, and carried on here to unveil the memorial in 1993. Again, I don't know 100% if that's a real story, but it's a good one, so I thought I'd share it with you. So as you walk out into the site here, you can see we are right by the sea, so you can literally see the sea here. This is the English Channel behind me, and across on the other side France. And of course, the memorial is here because this area is where a huge amount of the fighting in the Battle of Britain took place. Of course, the Luftwaffe were coming from France just ahead of us here across towards London, which would involve them passing over this area, and this is where a lot of the fighter squadrons would have met them as they were coming in, and so this area here above us saw such a huge amount of fighting above the skies in Kent and also beyond into other parts of Britain as well. The memorial sits here overlooking the area where a huge amount of this fighting would have taken place. So just next to the memorial here, the next piece we're going to see is this wall in the background that you can see over here. It's a really interesting piece. Now, unlike a lot of memorials like this that we might see, where everybody named on the wall could potentially be those who were killed or lost, in this case, it is everybody who was involved in the Battle of Britain. So some of these people lived long after the war, and in fact, my understanding is there is still one person named on the wall who is still alive today. So these aren't just people killed in the Battle of Britain. These are air crews who were involved and fought in the Battle of Britain. So before we get to the actual wall itself, which is just here to the left, we're just going to take a quick look at these two individual memorials. First of all, here we have the memorial for Air Chief Marshal Sir Keith Park. Now, he was in charge of number 11 group of the RAF during the Battle of Britain, and was instrumental to the RAF's defeat of the Luftwaffe. And then just next to him, we have the memorial for Air Chief Marshal Lord Dowding, who had such an important role during the Battle of Britain. In fact, was the creator of the Dowding system to do with satellites and detection used to understand when the Luftwaffe were coming over to Britain, which we're going to talk about in a future video. But one of the things that's really interesting here is you've got these two memorials. Now, you notice the one for Keith Park is looking out towards where so many of his air crews fought, and many of whom lost their lives. And then the one of Lord Dowding is looking back across where his air bases were. Really interesting. I don't know if that's deliberate, but apparently that's how they are set up here today. Okay, so here, just across from the memorial, so the memorial is over here in the middle. Just over here we have the memorial wall, the Christopher Foxley Norris Memorial Wall, dedicated to the aircrew who flew during the Battle of Britain, 10th of July 1940 to 31st of October. And again, we've got that famous Winston Churchill quote on the memorial. Some of the planes that were flown as part of the battle, and then all of the names. I believe there are more than 2,000 names of aircrew here who were involved in the Battle of Britain. Now, something that's really interesting, Malcolm, who works here in the team as part of the PR stuff, he toured me around this morning and showed me some stuff, and something really interesting he was telling me about the memorial wall is they had to have boundaries of who was named on the wall. So the idea here is that these are the names of any of the aircrew who flew during the Battle of Britain, quite specifically from the 10th of July to the 31st of October. Those are kind of the official dates for the Battle of Britain. Now, there might be some people who would then argue, well, hang on a minute, my family member flew in a sortie on the 9th of July, or they were involved in shooting down an Me-109 on the 1st of November during those kind of beginning or tail parts of the battle. Well, unfortunately, they wouldn't qualify to be named on here, because these are the names of aircrew who quite specifically were involved in action from the 10th of July to the 31st of October. That might seem tough for some people, but actually I kind of get it. You have to have a boundary, and that's the boundary they've chosen, the official dates of the battle here for the memorial wall. Now you see all of the names here, they're all in alphabetical order. But one of the things you notice just over at the end, there are a couple of names on here which aren't in alphabetical order. We've got a couple of surnames on the end. Now the reason for that is because there are still some names that get added to this memorial wall. It might be identified that a piece of evidence turns up to show that this person, flew a sortie in the Battle of Britain, and then therefore their name gets added. And that's why there's a couple on the end here who aren't within the alphabetical structure. You also notice that the wall is quite literally just in alphabetical order. There's no ranks, there's no medal letters added next to the names like you see on some memorials, because this has been designed for all of these men to be equal. They're all on the wall together in their own right. Now, this is interesting. Just on the end of the wall, you have this poem, Our Wall. This is a poem written by William Walker of 616 Squadron. Now, he was a veteran of the Battle of Britain, and he wrote this poem that now sits next to the memorial wall. But also quite interesting, he actually rests here himself. His ashes are scattered in the area here, just below the memorial wall. William Walker, 1913 to 2012, a veteran of the Battle of Britain. Now, something which I was shown when I was toured the site earlier here is if you step back from the wall slightly like we've done, you get a really unique perspective. Let me show you why. So if we stand back here, all within one shot, we have just over 2,000 names. Now, those names on that wall represent the 2,000 people that pretty much saved Britain, potentially saved the world. Because had the outcome of the Battle of Britain been different, then the outcome of World War II could have been different. 2,000 names all in one shot of the people who saved Great Britain. So we've just come up slightly away from the memorial itself to something else really interesting that they've got here. They have a replica of an aircraft. In fact, they actually normally have replicas of two. Unfortunately, one of them isn't here right now. We'll talk about that in a minute, but there is one really interesting one right here. So we've got an information plaque that tells you a bit more about it. This is the replica of the Hawker Hurricane Mark I, and this has been decorated in just the way that Geoffrey Page's Hurricane would have looked during the Battle of Britain. And in fact, we have a photo here of Geoffrey Page, the man who is behind this memorial in his Hurricane. So here we've got the replica Hawker Hurricane. Now it is a replica, although a couple of bits apparently are original. So I was told that the landing lights are original, and also the tyres as well. So it's not an entirely replica aircraft, but the main bulk of it is replica. But nonetheless, it's really cool, really interesting to see this here. Now I mentioned there would be two, so right here in front of us is where there would normally be the replica Spitfire. Now unfortunately, as a little plaque here shows us, it was damaged in a storm earlier in the winter, so it's currently being repaired, but it will be back here. So hopefully if you guys get a chance to come down here to the memorial, you will be able to see the replica Spitfire as well. Now you might notice something else over here. Let's go check that one out. So here we've got this really interesting statue, I guess, that has been created of a crashed Junker plane, a Stuka. So here you can see this was created by a German man by the name of Hex, who created this stainless steel sculpture that is now here at the Battle of Britain Memorial. Now just next to the Hurricane they have another little memorial. This is Bob. Many of the fighter squadrons had their own mascots, and the memorial here has its own mascot too. This is their mascot dog, Bob, and you can guess why he is called Bob. Now another little spot I just wanted to touch on here is next to the memorial is this place. This is called the Hunting Lodge, and this is actually a place where you can hire some space, some corporate rooms or meeting rooms or something that you might like, and it's really cool, right? Because hey look, where else could you have a meeting or a little function in a place that is overlooking a Hawker Hurricane? It's really cool, and if ever you're in the south of England and you're looking for maybe a unique place to hold a meeting or something like that, get in touch with these guys, because the Hunting Lodge could be a really cool place to do that. So just step back a little bit to get a really unique perspective of where this memorial is. You can see it in the middle there, and these kind of three white bits are shaped to be a propeller, and we're going to get another view of that in just a little while when we head over towards the building. But here overlooking the sea, the famous White Cliffs of Dover just down the coast there, and out here looking towards France. And again, the important piece in this footage, of course, is the skies above us here and what went on here in 1940. Something which I like right in the centre of the building here, they've got this kind of model which shows you the ground of where we are, and it just gives you an idea of kind of what the centre of the memorial looks like with the propeller, and it also gives us a chance to look at the actual building we are in, which you can see is in this unique wing shape. And those of you who are familiar with World War II aircraft might recognise that as the wings of a Spitfire. Well, that is the building that we are in right here. So the building here, the wing, was opened by the Queen and accompanied by the Duke of Edinburgh in March 2015. Now one side of the wing here kind of operates as like a gift shop where you can buy some bits and some really cool memorabilia which supports the site here, and the other side is set up to what is called the Scramble Experience. So the Scramble Experience has been set up on the other side of the wing building. It's like an interactive kind of exhibition that you can visit, and we've been very kindly granted some access to go and check it out. So let's have a look. Now I've just stepped into the kind of Scramble Experience that they've got here. Now we're a bit restricted on what we can film here, understandably. You know, we can't just put everything on camera, but there's some really cool bits here. I'm going to try and tell you about a couple of things. You can hear the noise of the aircraft and kind of like a video they do here, which is so interesting, and definitely worth coming into this piece if you do visit the memorial. Really good for the kids, interactive, and you can see some really cool bits that really help your understanding of the battle here, as well as a really interesting kind of short mini film that they've done as well, which gets played on the big screen up here behind us. Really cool. So in the kind of Scramble Experience here, the whole thing is full of information panels and some really cool stuff. Old photography. You guys are familiar with the channel, you know I love old photography. Some information about like the different formations they would fly and stuff like that, which is really cool as well. Now we've just stepped upstairs in the wing building, and I wanted to come up here because on the balcony you get this really unique view where you can see the blades of the propeller, the memorial in the middle, and looking out to sea. This is the balcony of kind of the coffee shop they have up here. If you come here, make sure you get a drink, get yourself a sandwich, sit down, relax, look at the hurricane. It's another way to help support what they do here. Now, one of the things they have here is an information panel that tells you a little bit about how you can support the memorial, and that's really important. I just want to touch on that for a minute. You see, the memorial here is not funded by the council. It is entirely run by charity money and volunteers who do a huge amount of work here. As we've been looking around, you can see how immaculate it is. The lawns and the flowers. Well, all of that work comes at a cost, and it's largely done with volunteers. So if you do come here, and I really urge that you do, make sure you support the site. Of course, your money for things like parking helps to support it. Buy a coffee, have a sandwich, donate if you can. These kind of sites will die if they don't have support from people like us who come and visit. And I'm certainly going to be making a donation whilst I'm here, and I really urge that you guys do too. Maybe you want to come here and take advantage of one of the meeting spaces. They have the one that we talked about over by the hurricane. They have another space inside as well in the wing building. Take advantage of that. What a unique place to have a meeting and support something great at the same time. So please, if you do come here, or even if you don't, maybe check out the website. If you're able to support a site like this, then it's a really good cause to do so. So I hope you guys found this video interesting, taking a look at the Battle of Britain Memorial and also the memorial wall here as well. I found this site to be fascinating, and it's a really good place to start off our little series about the Battle of Britain. Over the next few videos, we're going to be visiting some other sites to do with that battle in 1940. But this is a really great place, the memorial to the Battle of Britain, and so many of the men in the air crews who fought and won such an essential battle. I hope you're going to look forward to the future videos. If you do me a favour, do all the usual YouTube stuff right here on the screen for me. If you'd like to support the channel, I'm really grateful to the couple of supporters we've got already through Patreon. Several of you guys have bought me a coffee. We've got a couple of members to the channel right here on YouTube, and all of that helps me. Pays for my petrol to get down somewhere like this to come and film these videos. So thank you very much for supporting, and if you're not already supporting me, maybe you might want to consider doing it. In the meantime, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to see you on the next video.